Hi, this is Greg, and I'll be reading you excerpts from this week's Mashpee Enterprise, dated Friday, July 11, 2025. We'll start with the weekend weather. Saturday, mostly sunny, a high of 77 degrees, a low of 65. Sunday, also mostly sunny, a high of 77 degrees, a low of 66. Moving on to the top stories. Fireworks explosion still under investigation. This story is by Lauren Serbe. The New Seabury fireworks explosion that occurred on July 2 at the club at New Seabury is still under investigation, with the Massachusetts Department of Fire Services, or DFS, leading the investigation. We have had contact with them, obviously, Deputy Chief Brendan Ramsey said during a phone call with the Enterprise on Tuesday, July 8. But from what they have told us between last week and now, nothing has really changed in their opinion. The explosion happened around 4:30 p.m. on July 2, just hours before the club at New Seabury's 4th of July barbecue and fireworks show. A statement released from the Mashpee Fire Department that evening said that 8 individuals were evaluated by medical teams. Authorities remained on site late Wednesday evening into Thursday morning. One person, the statement said, sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries and was airlifted to Rhode Island Hospital via Boston Med flight. A second person was transported to Falmouth Hospital with minor injuries, and the remaining 6 individuals were evaluated and refused transport to the hospital. The exact cause of ignition has not been determined, Massachusetts Department of Fire Services Public Information Officer Jake Wark said. The ignition took place during the wiring process. Whether it was the result of equipment failure or user error or some other cause, it hasn't been determined at this point, but the investigators have not found any violations of the safety provisions in the fire code or state law. Several local and state agencies responded to the July 2 incident to assist Mashpee's police and fire departments, including Cotuit Fire Department, the State Fire Marshal's Office Fire Safety Division, Massachusetts Department of Fire Services Fire Investigation Unit, Massachusetts State Police, Massachusetts State Police Bomb Squad, the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Bomb Squad, and the Occupational Safety and Health Agency. Investigations take as long as they take. Sometimes it involves interviews and examination of the debris. In many cases, we could reach a conclusion, and in many cases, we may just have to ultimately make a more general determination, Wark said on Thursday, July 10, but I'm keeping an eye on it. Wark said that the Massachusetts DFS also assisted with a fireworks incident in Wareham on July 4. A 70-year-old man was setting off a firework at Beach Street when it exploded in his face. First responders were called to 34 Beach Street around 9:19 p.m. for a report of a person hit by a firework. At the scene, 70-year-old Robert Spagnuolo was found with an injury to his face and was pronounced dead. The fireworks in that case were much smaller, just a relatively small number of them, but the result was much more tragic and it claimed the operator's life, Wark said. That is why in Massachusetts, professional licensure and qualified inspection and fire department supervision are required under the law. These devices are just inherently dangerous. Affordable Housing Committee voices concerns over proposed 40B. This story is by Lauren Serbe. Mass Housing's most recent proposed development has caused some concerns among Mashpee residents, which the town's Affordable Housing Committee gave voice to at its meeting on July 1. On Commons, The proposed 40B development, located at 14 Jobs Fishing Road, hosted a site visit for the public to attend on June 18. The development would create 65 rental units within a singular building that will be 4 stories tall and will sit on 1.6 acres of land. As a proposed 40B project, the developers would qualify to accelerate the approval process by bypassing certain zoning laws if the developer commits to designating at least 25% of the housing units as affordable. Members of various committees and boards attended the site visit, including the Affordable Housing Committee. I did attend the site visit, so we're kind of combining observations from the site visit, Affordable Housing Chairman Michael Sparks said at the July 1 meeting. The project proposal requires any response or concerns to be submitted to Mass Housing. I think feedback has to be received by them by July 7. It's going through Brian, the town planner's office, on behalf of Rodney Collins, the town manager. So that's a very short window for us to give anything. At the Select Board meeting on June 23, Town Planner Brian Tobin confirmed that Monday, July 7 was the deadline for all comments from the towns, boards, and committees. He also informed the Select Board that the town was able to receive an extension for the 30-day review period from Mass Housing before submitting a comprehensive permit application to the ZBA. Tobin will discuss the feedback he received from the town's boards and committees at the Select Board meeting on July 14. Sparks said that after attending the last Planning Board meeting on June 18, he was able to gain insight from members' feedback on the proposed 40B development. I did take the liberty of drafting the 2 pages that I sent out. It's really just a draft, Sparks said of the feedback summary he compiled. The Select Board came up with an approach that I agree with. They said that there would be more of an impact coming from the board rather than each member individually, so I felt our committee would do the same thing. Among the concerns the committee had were fire safety, traffic congestion, and accessibility. It's hard to imagine a 4-story building of that size just being plopped on a corner like that. My major concern is the units per acre. 35 units per acre? That's excessive, Affordable Housing Committee Vice Chairwoman Paula Peters said. I remember while we were at the site visit, the developer was saying that it would be held to the standards that the Mashpee Commons had in terms of what the building would look like and the style. I just can't see it fitting there. It's not going to fit the character of Mashpee Commons, let alone of Mashpee. I have that concern about it. Multiple committee members agreed with Peters. There seems to be very little free land there that's not covered by parking spaces or buildings, member Denise Jeffrion said. I would absolutely agree with Paula to lob off that whole top floor. Member Sharon Muller called the proposed development an eyesore. Also, my concern is the fire trucks being able to get in and out of there, Muller added. Member Gerald Tudor agreed with Muller. I think you should put in our feedback. It's a legitimate concern, and I'm sure the fire department will respond, Tudor said. Also in the committee's list of concerns was the question of stormwater runoff. When it rains, where is all that water going to go, Jeffrion said. I know that there's a retention pit down on that property. There's an easement for draining at the top, but Mashpee Commons, I believe, has a drainage retention along Route 28. Are they going to be feeding into that? Do they have the right to feed into that? Planning Board Chairwoman Mary Wagan was in attendance of the Affordable Housing Committee on July 1 and emphasized Jeffrion's concern. In the application, it says the stormwater is on-site and stormwater management takes up land, Wagan said. I'm not sure if anyone else is catching that besides this board and the planning board. I think you should include that in your feedback. Jeffreyon attended the July 1 Cape Cod Commission Subcommittee Development of Regional Impact, or DRI, review meeting for the proposed grocery store located at Shellback Way, nearby to where On Commons is proposed, and pointed out how congested traffic will be. I also think we have to look at everything that's happening in that bigger neighborhood. Mashpee Commons is filled in at the top of the hill, and right now there's been a Cape Cod Commission review of Trader Joe's in the other corner, Jeffreyon said. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening. The committee agreed and included that concern in the draft concerns. When I was watching the Cape Cod Commission, they were discussing traffic mitigation along Route 28 in that stretch, Jeffreyon said. They have their own set of facts, and this group, Mass Housing, is going to come in and say, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to screw up anybody, but they're not talking to each other necessarily. Sparks said that Jeffreyon made a good point. The proposed On Commons development will be 58 feet high and would have a gross floor area of 85,000 square feet. 17 of the units would be deed restricted as affordable. There will be 98 total parking spaces and 122 bedrooms. The developers of the project intend to connect the development to the Mashpee Commons wastewater treatment plant. 4 of the apartments will be accessible for wheelchair users, and of those 4, 2 will be considered affordable. Members questioned the use of one elevator in the building. I do think that when we go into affordable housing, we should include something for the physically handicapped, Mueller said. If we could just emphasize the one elevator with the fact that we do have the handicapped units, and if they're on the 4th floor and the power goes out, what's the plan? Sparks added the concern to the committee's compiled draft as well. I have the addition of stormwater, the addition of police and fire concerns, and knowing that future developments will be adding traffic. This was an unknown, adding traffic too, Sparks said. Are there any more comments? What I would like to do is include these and send them out. Peters emphasized the fact that this proposed 40B development will still have affordable housing units, and that the committee should include the town's necessity for it. We beat this thing up, and then at the same time as the Affordable Housing Committee, we want affordable housing, Peters said. So there's got to be a way to say that in this comment, that, yeah, we have strong objections. Sparks said that he can include that in the introduction of the committee's drafted comments. The board unanimously approved the committee's feedback with the inclusion of the minor edits discussed. It will be reviewed along with all other boards and committees' feedback by Tobin and then discussed at the next Select Board meeting on Monday, July 14. Harbor Management Committee meeting Zoom-bombed with pornography. This story is by Lauren Serbay. The Mashpee Harbor Management Committee's meeting on Wednesday evening was hacked by Zoom bombers that took control of the virtual meeting and played a pornographic video, forcing the meeting's abrupt end. Zoom bombing is a form of cyber harassment in which uninvited individuals disrupt Zoom meetings with vulgar language, derogatory remarks, and even pornographic images or videos. Such incidents have been common in remote meetings across the country since the start of the pandemic in 2020, which popularized virtual meetings. Thanks, everyone, for coming, Director of Natural Resources and Harbor Master Robert Tomeno said at the start of the meeting before the hack. 31 people on this call is pretty amazing, and it shows that the town of Mashpee really cares about our harbor management plan, so I appreciate that. When Tomeno asked the committee members to introduce themselves, they were interrupted by racially charged and derogatory language, along with a pornographic video that started playing on screen. Soon after, the meeting was suspended. I'm currently working with IT to create a new Zoom meeting with added security features, Tomeno said in a statement to the Enterprise on Thursday, July 10. Having members of the public sign up to receive an invite link, that way we can alleviate any issues. Tomeno said that updated information on the incident and the rescheduled meeting will be released on Friday, July 11. Sandwich residents' donation makes Mashpee Teen Center a reality. This story is by Amy Rothman. A new Boys and Girls Club teen center, the first of its kind on Cape Cod, will soon come to Mashpee, serving the teenagers of the Upper Cape. A recent donation of more than $2 million made by a Sandwich resident, Dick Galbraith, has catapulted the nonprofit's fundraising efforts to over $4.5 million for the new teen center. The donation was announced in a press release from the Boys and Girls Club of Cape Cod on July 3. This volunteer has been tutoring at the club and surprised the staff with this gift. The gift has served as a catalyst in making a dream become a reality, and the new building will bear his family name, the press release said. Since then, another Cape Cod family, whose name has not been released, has donated another $500,000, which Jim Kiley, president of the club's board of directors, said brings the Boys and Girls Club of Cape Cod to a fundraising total of $4.9 million as of Tuesday, July 9. To secure enough funding to build the teen center and create an endowment to fund the center into the future, Kiley said that the Boys and Girls Club of Cape Cod has a capital goal to raise a total of $8 million, leaving about $3.1 million left until it hits its goal. The new teen center, proposed to be just under 10,000 square feet in area, will be constructed next to the Boys and Girls Club of Cape Cod Crafts Family Clubhouse in Mashpee. The Crafts Family Clubhouse is located at 31 Frank E. Hicks Drive and was opened in 1999 when then-owner of the New England Patriots Robert Kraft pledged to donate $500,000 alongside a capital campaign for which over $1 million was raised for construction. Teen members currently utilize a small room at the clubhouse, and campaign organizers reorganized the critical need to provide middle and high school students from across Cape Cod with their own space where they can receive counseling, homework support, and assistance with college applications and career readiness, as well as recreational activities, the press release said. Current team members at the Boys and Girls Club of Cape Cod and Mashpee were tasked with brainstorming ideas that Cape Cod teenagers may appreciate in the new center, Kiley explained. These ideas, which featured themes of health, well-being, fitness, fun, recreation, education, and safety, were then turned over to an architect who has finalized plans for the new center. The center will be equipped with a plethora of features, including an education room, a music room with a recording studio, an art room, a full kitchen and snack bar, and a game room. The teen center will also be home to a health and fitness studio and an indoor basketball court. A capital campaign, announced this week, will bring the organization closer to construction. On Thursday, July 17, an informational event will be hosted by the club in Mashpee, inviting the public to learn more about the new addition to the club. The meeting will start at 6 p.m. Looking forward to the informational event at the club in Mashpee, Kiley noted his excitement to inform the public about the plans for the new center. I think it's important that everybody in the towns on Cape Cod, especially Sandwich, Mashpee, Falmouth, Marston's Mills, Cotuit, Bourne, all know that we are going to have a place for their teenagers to come in a safe environment where they are going to learn to be great leaders and feel comfortable being there. The recent donation of $2.2 million was made by Richard Galbraith, a retired volunteer of the clubhouse who resides in Sandwich with his wife. Having come into a rather large windfall of money and already being retired quite comfortably in Sandwich, Galbraith said that he was inspired to find the best use for his excess funds. Speaking to the Enterprise this week, Galbraith noted that the inspiration for his hefty donation draws from two sources: his grandfather's philanthropic values and his time spent working and volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club throughout his life. His grandfather, he said, immigrated to Texas from Ireland when he was 8 years old. After years of working on a $1 a day salary, he eventually became a partner for a regional lumber company. Growing largely successful, the company most recently sold to a larger partner, creating part of the windfall of money that Galbraith spoke of. Throughout his journey to success, Galbraith said that his grandfather always remained philanthropic, always making sure to give back to the local community. This, he said, in part with his lifelong journey with the club, which began when Galbraith took a summer job at a Boys and Girls Club after high school, inspired his decision to donate to the club's campaign for the Teen Center. While working at a club after his graduation from high school, Galbraith said he got to really know kids who didn't have things that I took for granted, like 2 parents at home, having a father who could teach me how to use tools, having a hearty breakfast, having a bed of my own, having a space to quietly do homework. Seeing this, he said, made him realize the value that clubs like the Boys and Girls Clubs can hold by providing safe spaces. In these spaces, he said, he has observed a positive atmosphere, free from the bounds of society. There's not any type of core group, he added. The kids are mixed around in all kinds of combinations, and they form very lasting friendships. Galbraith had volunteered at the nonprofit for the past 8 years, tutoring youth and assisting with math homework, Kylie said, and little did we know he was a gentleman of a lot of means, and he surprised us one day by donating $2.2 million to the nonprofit. The Boys and Girls Club of Cape Cod had been discussing plans to build a teen center in Mashpee since 2008, Kylie said. However, several obstacles, including economic downfalls and the COVID-19 pandemic, have halted construction. Galbraith's donation, however, is helping turn the dreams born in 2008 into a real thing. We had a dream of building a teen center, and he came through with a very large donation and has continued to contribute, so he's made this dream of ours a reality, Kylie said. We are grateful to have such generous neighbors who truly care about the future of our young people. Many within the Mashpee community have spoken to the impact that the Crafts Family Clubhouse had provided since it was opened as the first Boys and Girls Clubhouse on the Cape. The new teen center, they say, will continue to serve the youth of the greater Mashpee area, amplified by the donations and support of nearby neighbors and donors. The Boys and Girls Club of Cape Cod is vital to the growth of our community, Town Manager Rodney Collins said. The work being done on a daily basis by the counselors and staff members to develop the next generation of Cape Cod leaders is invaluable. Mashpee's police department also noted the role the center can play in keeping the town safe by providing a safe place for the town's youth. The new teen center will go a long way in providing a safe haven for our young people who may be at risk because of peer pressure through social media and other outlets, Mashpee Police Chief Scott Carline said. The Boys and Girls Club will create a healthy and nurturing environment for teens where they can feel safe, valued, and maximize their true potential. More information about the Teen Center campaign can be found at boysgirlsclubcapecod.org. Paddleboarders spot white shark off Stony Beach. This story is by Katie Nelson. Margaret Bowles said she will not be paddleboarding for a while after she and a friend had a close encounter with a sizable white shark off Stony Beach in Woods Hole on Friday, July 4. Bowles, who has summered in Woods Hole most of her life, was paddleboarding with her friend, Maddie Cronin, just after 7:30 p.m. when she spotted a dorsal fin pass between their boards, closer to Cronin. The pair have been friends since they attended Dover Sherburne High School, where they were cross-country and track captains together. Bowles said their long friendship and Cronin's coolness under pressure helped them remain calm after the encounter. They did not panic, but they did hightail it to the beach. Bowles is 19 and Cronin is 18. The two took photos of the fin and reported the sighting on the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy's Sharktivity app. John Chisholm, adjunct scientist with the New England Aquarium, confirmed the shark was an Atlantic white shark and said they are rarely seen in the waters off Woods Hole. In fact, this is the first confirmed sighting in the area in more than 2 decades. Chisholm identifies and verifies shark sightings for the Sharktivity app. He said white sharks are rare in the area, possibly because of the warmer water temperatures. White sharks prefer cooler water, or because they tend to stay closer to the outer cape where seals are more plentiful. But while Chisholm said sightings in the area are rare, he added that they are not unheard of. In 2004, a 14-foot white shark, later nicknamed Gretel, became trapped in a salt pond on Noshan Island for 14 days. Chisholm said the encounter on Stony Beach is a good reminder to take care when recreating in the ocean. He said that people can be shark smart by never swimming near seals, schools of fish, or a large group of seabirds diving for dinner. A shark could be nearby, Chisholm said. He said swimmers should avoid going into the water at dusk or dawn, and advised that any flashy jewelry should be removed before swimming. If you see something, report it, Chisholm added. The Sharktivity app crowdsources data that shows where sharks have been spotted recently. Falmouth Beach Committee Chairwoman Barbara Schneider said lifeguards at all the town's beaches are aware of the shark sighting and have been trained on what to look out for. Schneider said Stony Beach is still open and there is no need to close the beach at this time. She said swimmers just need to be aware of the sighting and use precautions. On Wednesday, the town issued a press release regarding the incident. On the release, the town stated that its protocol for responding to shark incidents has been redistributed to staff members to ensure it is followed in the event of another sighting. The release also included a phone number for the town's Marine and Environmental Services Department that people can use to report a shark sighting if they do not have the Sharktivity app. That phone number is 508-457-2550, extension 7. If no one answers, the caller should leave a detailed message with their contact information and the shark's location. Bowles said she is not sick of retelling the story yet. She said her friends are sending her congratulations on not getting eaten texts, which she said have made her laugh. Bowles said she will continue to swim, but will not be venturing out on her paddleboard anytime soon. Well, folks, we've reached the halfway point of our reading today, and as regular listeners are aware, at this stage of the broadcast we move to the obituaries. Our first obituary is Carolyn J. Turner. Carolyn Joyce Turner of Mashpee, a Mashpee Wampanoag tribal elder, died on July 3. She was 83. Born to Marjorie Hendricks Duarte and Milton Mickey Fry, she had many nicknames, including Clam Cake and Clem, but she was known to most as Ka. She was a Jill of all trades. As a pitcher for the Mashpee Wampets softball team, she was known for hitting long balls. She was on various women's bowling leagues and planned her vacation around annual national tournaments that were held throughout the United States. During the 1970s, she could be found behind the Woolworth's lunch counter in Falmouth, where she was known for her grilled cheese sandwiches. She was also a maintenance supervisor at 2 facilities on the Cape. Retiring a few years ago, she began selling her secret recipe, Clem's Clam Cakes, at the Mashpee Wampanoag annual powwow, with people often asking when her stand would return. She enjoyed going on cruises, playing poker and whist, and short visits to casinos. She also enjoyed listening to Elvis Presley CDs while driving. With her house known as the Party House, she enjoyed hosting gatherings. She created schemes to scare people at her Halloween parties, dressed up as Santa at a Christmas party one year, and as Barney the Purple Dinosaur for birthday parties. In addition to her parents, she was predeceased by a son, Seaman Turner III, and a sister, Bonnie Scott. A celebration of life will be held on Saturday, July 12, from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at Chapman Funerals and Cremations in Mashpee. A repast will follow at the Mashpee Wampanoag Government Center. Eleanor L. Jackson. Eleanor Lydia Jackson of Mashpee, a member of the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe, died on July 2. She was 71. Born to Beatrice Toby Jackson and Warren Hicks, she was raised in Mashpee and Boston. After earning her GED, she was a homemaker. She enjoyed dancing, singing, street skating, and cooking. Known for her caring nature, she was also remembered as the life of the party. She was predeceased by her partner, Carlos Alexo Miller, and 4 siblings. Services were held on July 9 in Mashpee. Marita G. Donahue. Marita Glynn Donahue of Mashpee died on June 30. She was 89. She worked as a professor of nursing at Massasoit Community College for decades prior to retiring. She was predeceased by her son, Gregory G. Bithell, her partner, James DeLay, and her husbands, Daniel J. Donahue and Thomas C. Bithell. A funeral service will be held on Friday, July 18 at 10 a.m. at Epiphany Parish in Walpole. A graveside service will follow later that day at Highland Cemetery in Norwood. Edward B. Lucier III. Edward Bertram Lucier III of Mashpee died on July 4. He was 47. Born to Edward Bertram Lucier Jr. and Audrey Ann Lucier of Mashpee, he worked as a carpenter, enjoying building with his hands and mentoring others on the job. An outdoorsman, he enjoyed casting a line on a quiet morning or walking through the woods during the fall. He enjoyed sharing his fishing, hunting, and outdoor living skills with others. He was also an avid football fan, often spending with Sundays during the football season supporting the New England Patriots. Visiting hours will be held Sunday, July 19, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Chapman Funerals and Cremations in Mashpee, with a funeral service to follow. The following residents, former residents or family of residents of Bourne, Falmouth, and Sandwich recently died. Visit capenews.net to read the complete obituary news stories. John J. Fay III, 76, of Falmouth, died on July 5. Frederick C. Fall, 84, of Monument Beach, died on July 7. David P. Jones, 82, of East Falmouth, died on June 28. Alfred E. Krupa, 92, of Sandwich, died on July 7. George W. Packish, 92, of Falmouth, died on July 5. Janice C. Selman, 80, of Falmouth, died on July 5. And Scott E. Young, 64, of Falmouth, died on June 29. And now we move to the police logs. The following are excerpts from the Mashpee police logs dated Thursday, July 3 through Wednesday, July 9. Thursday, July 3. Officers arrested Diane Bradstreet, 62, of Wareham, for operating under the influence of liquor, third offense, unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle, and possessing an open container of alcohol. Officers received a report of a large gathering at Sandy Beach on Shore Drive in Pomponesset with underage youths drinking. Dylan A. McGrain, 33, of Wells River, Vermont, was arrested with one charge of disorderly conduct. Sunday, July 6. Officers received a report of an erratic operation of a motor vehicle at 300 Falmouth Road just after 6:30 p.m. Marston's Mills resident James W. Curtis, 76, was arrested for operating under the influence of liquor, marked lanes violation, and negligent operation of a motor vehicle. Tuesday, July 8. Officers summoned an individual to court for a drug possession charge from Nelson Circle. Mario R. Villani, 41, homeless, received one charge of possession of a Class E drug, gabapentin. Officers stopped a motor vehicle at Route 130 just after 10 a.m. Mashpee resident Matthew T. Allegrezza, 28, was charged with operating a motor vehicle with a suspended license, texting while driving, and no inspection sticker. Officers responded to the Stop and Shop for a shoplifting call at 3:56 p.m. Mashpee resident Marcy A. Hendricks was summoned to court for one charge of shoplifting. At 8:20 p.m., officers stopped a motor vehicle on Route 151. West Yarmouth resident Ashley L. Johnson, 40, was charged with an uninsured motor vehicle, an unregistered motor vehicle, and no inspection sticker. And now the results from Falmouth District Court. Monday, July 7, arraignments. Mario R. Villani, 41, Nelson Circle, Mashpee, assault and battery, breaking and entering a vehicle or boat during nighttime for felony on July 4 in Mashpee. Pretrial hearing set for September 3, advised of potential for bail revocation, released on personal recognizance, and ordered to stay away from and not to contact the victim. James W. Curtis, 76, Captain DeYoung Terrace, Marston's Mills, operating under the influence of liquor over 0.08% blood alcohol concentration, marked lanes violation, and negligent operation of a motor vehicle on July 6 in Mashpee. Pretrial hearing set for August 8, advised of potential for bail revocation, released on personal recognizance. Corvette hood pulled from Johns Pond during OLAUG cleanup. It's not every day that a slimy wooden plank extracted from a pond incites wholehearted cheers, but for the women gathered on the shores of Johns Pond on a rainy Thursday morning this week, that is exactly what was about to happen. Wearing bright orange shirts and hats, the members of Old Ladies Against Underwater Garbage, or OLOG, arrived with snorkel masks, kayaks, baskets, and an unmistakable sense of giddiness. They came from all over Cape Cod and beyond, from Falmouth, Sandwich, Mashpee, Dennis, Brookline, and more, to clean up the pond. This particular cleanup was one of the group's biggest yet. 11 divers and 4 kayakers launched from 3 different locations on Johns Pond. One group boarded a pontoon boat at the south end, another waded straight in from the beach, and a third entered from the northern shore. Each team was supported by kayakers trained to watch over swimmers and store the collected trash. The kayakers' most important job is to keep an eye on their swimmers. Garbage second, swimmers first, the group was reminded before headed out on the water. Before every dive, there's a safety meeting and a game plan. Each swimmer is a confident diver, capable of swimming a mile and handling the physical strain of repeated descents. Kayakers are trained specifically for emergency response, and every cleanup includes beach bosses carrying tarps, lanyards, walkie-talkies, and first aid kits. "We take safety really seriously," said Susan Bauer, the group's founder. "You have to swim a half mile in under 30 minutes. These are people who are comfortable in the water and have great cardiovascular fitness." At 12:40 p.m., the 4 divers on the pontoon boat, Michelle Milligan, Trish Corey, Marcy Johnson, and Sarah Spengler, jumped in. 2 go left and 2 go right, each group trailed by a kayak. Within moments, orange-clad feet were in the air as the women dove under, disappearing into the pond with snorkel masks and small fanny packs for carrying excess junk. Every piece of trash received, whether a bracelet or, in one interesting unearthing, the front end of a car, was the result of an individual dive. By the end of the hour-long session, the team had surfaced with a wide array of garbage: wood planks, soda cans, fireworks, a fire alarm, a claw clip, and, as always, lots and lots of golf balls. The last time the women were here, they said, they found a toilet underwater. This time was no less memorable. Just before the pontoon boat was heading to the dock, it was stopped in its tracks by a call that a large item needed to be brought to shore. One woman swam out to the boat to direct it to the right spot, and 2 other women quickly jumped back into the water to help. Within a few short minutes, they tied ropes around the submerged item and attached it to the boat, which then dragged the item near shore. From there, the woman hauled it onto the beach, a large fiberglass piece of a car frame, later identified as the front end of a 1990s Corvette. The car piece was the perfect final addition to the substantial pile of trash already proudly displayed on a bright orange tarp waiting on the beach. There are 30 active members of OLOG today, with a wait list of 45. The group completed 10 cleanups in its first year, 16 the next, and are on pace for 20 this summer alone. The organization began in 2018 when Bauer and 2 other women decided on a whim to clean up a local pond. There isn't much we can do to help the fish, the turtles, the wildlife here, she said, but at least we can take the fireworks out of here. We can take the car batteries and the rotting tires. Even golf balls don't do a pond any favors. That first outing yielded 1 basket of garbage. Since then, O-Log has grown. According to Bauer, it's about teamwork and freedom. We're at the age where we are finally free of the man leads and the woman follows. We get to lead, and we get to do it the way we want to, she said. There's nothing 3 women can't do. This sense of resilience is a vital part of the group's bond. Women, seemingly more than men, have the kind of gratitude towards the end of their lives that comes from losing a lot and being very grateful for what remains, Bauer explained. We have women who have lost marriages, they have lost body parts, they have lost homes, they have lost children, they have lost jobs, and they are so grateful for what remains. And I see that more in women than in men. So we are a bunch of super strong, super grateful, super cooperative women who just love working together. The group's camaraderie is obvious on and off the water. On the boat, before diving begins, the women catch up. They talk about the weather, grandchildren, and vacations. Once the goggles are on, though, it's all business. This is what grandmas can do, one of the women told 3 young boys who wandered over to inspect the piles of junk. It's a form of environmental help that isn't based on guilt or righteousness or fear, Bauer said. It's based on excitement and adventure. Not every pond gets the O-Log treatment. The team scouts each one in advance, skipping those where visibility is poor or invasive plant species make cleanup unsafe. They prioritize great ponds, any pond over 10 acres, which Massachusetts law guarantees public access to. Heavily trafficked areas like those near campgrounds or RV parks often turn up the most trash. At John's Pond, the team had already done a cleanup once before, where they famously removed a toilet. Here we knew there was more trash, so we came back, Bauer said. The women are reluctant to leave the water when 1 hour is up. There's always one more dive to make and one more object to retrieve. It's the hardest thing to stop. There's always one more golf ball, said Spengler, now in her 2nd year with the group. On shore, the women proudly pose for pictures with the garbage they have collected, and later, as the truck drives off with the garbage, the group lets out a resounding cheer. It started out as a group of friends swimming together, and it's still like that, said Robert Malavalin, who dived earlier in the day. We love each other. The public is invited to watch O-Log in action at Grew's Pond on Tuesday, July 22. The dive will begin at 1 p.m., with the team returning to shore around 2 p.m. Visitors are welcome to see the collected garbage displayed on a tarp and discover what underwater treasures the group has uncovered. Paul Colombo steps down as Conservation Commission Chairman. This story is by Lauren Serbe. Former Mashpee Conservation Commission Chairman Paul Colombo stepped down from his position at the Commission's meeting on June 26. It's been a while since I became chair of this organization. I think it's been 3 years. Through one quirk of fate or another, nobody wanted to step up or nobody was able to step forward, and I went 2 years and then I went 3, Colombo said at the meeting. I've been getting the message out to people. I need a break. Former Conservation Commission Vice Chairman Stephen Cook was unanimously voted to be the next chairman. I've been on the commission for 7 or 8 years now, whether it's associate or full-time, Cook said. I'm willing to step up and take my turn and help out with everybody's support. Colombo thanked the commission for their work while he served as chairman. I've worked with a lot of chairs and a lot of commissioners that have come and gone, and some of them have just been fantastic. You just hate to see them go, Colombo said. I've enjoyed a lot of support from everybody here at this table and other tables that go back. I'm truly grateful to all of you. Although stepping down from chairman, Colombo will remain a full-time member on the commission. It's just a time to say what an extraordinary chair you have been, member Marjorie Clapprood said. It's a standard to which others will find it very, very difficult. Sarah Thornborough was elected to be the commission's next vice chairwoman. Sandy Godfrey will continue to serve as the commission's clerk. Member Alexandra Zolo asked if she could transfer to be an associate member rather than a full-time member. I don't love being a full-time member when I'm not even here full-time. It doesn't feel good to my integrity, Zolo said. I'd be happy to serve as an associate and be here when a quorum is needed, but not all the time. Conservation agent Andrew McManus said Zolo has to submit a letter expressing her desire to become an associate member, which will be sent to the town manager's office. Select Board will ratify the change of status. Santuit Pond Town Landing construction to begin this fall. This story is by Lauren Survey. Santuit Pond Town Landing improvements are making headway. Water Quality Coordinator and Grant Administrator Ashley K. Fisher updated the Select Board at a recent meeting, saying construction on the project will begin in the fall so residents can enjoy the boat ramp this summer. This is our 2-year award from the Massachusetts Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program. The town did receive roughly $1.7 million for this project to completely restore the Santuit Town Landing, Fisher said. Civil engineer associate Scott Turner of Fuss and O'Neill, an engineering firm, also spoke at the meeting. In town, water quality is certainly a concern. Phosphorus in particular is a real problem for most water bodies due to a number of things, including stormwater, Turner said. Phosphorus from lawns or other sources typically makes its way into ponds and has significant impacts to aquatic life. You also get some phosphorus and nitrogen loadings from septic systems. The Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program is a grant petitioned by the state, Turner said. The town also received water quality management planning grants that have gone toward this project. Right now, if you're familiar with Town Landing, you really have a driveway and a boat ramp, Turner said. Really, what we want to do is make it more attractive and make it more desirable for folks in town and surrounding towns. The project includes stormwater improvements, enhanced shoreline buffers, a pollinator garden, a new parking lot, kayak and canoe launches, a new boat ramp, more opportunities for fishing, and public art components made by the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe. What it has is 5 retention basins that collect water and infiltrate them into the ground. It has a parking area for vehicles and boats, Turner said. It will definitely be an improvement over what's there now, for sure. Turner said the project went out to bid on June 9. Construction is slated to begin in the fall and be done next spring, he said. Select Board member Tracy Kelly asked Fisher and Turner about how community engagement is involved with the project. Fisher said they are working with tribal youth through the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe's Native Environmental Ambassadors Program. They are coming down and they'll paint the mural at Town Landing, Fisher said. They are involved with the sculpture design. We're involved with the Mashpee Wampanoag DNR director, Jason Stiding, in designing that sculpture and coming up with ideas of what will be there. Fisher said the sculpture is going to be a 16-foot-tall herring moving in a circular pattern with an osprey at the top catching the herring out of the pond. It's going to look really nice once we are done, Fisher said. We do have heavy involvement from the Education Department, NEA Kids, and Jason's group. Select Board Vice Chairman David W. Whedon asked if the Mashpee Wampanoag Language Reclamation Program had any involvement in the Santuit Pond Town Landing improvements. On the mural design, we have engaged with the Language Department, Fisher said. There are sections of the retaining wall. There's a small section of the retaining wall that will feature the native language, and it's going to say, "Water is life" in Wampanoag. Whedon also asked about a gated entrance. I'm not the biggest fan of gates. I don't like that as a solution, Whedon said. There are public spaces encroaching on people's time when they visit these places. I don't know if I'm the biggest supporter. Fisher said that a gated entrance is supposed to stop the vandalism at the town landing. We have seen vandalism and trash down there, Fisher said. The hope is, with the improvements, that won't occur. I can't promise that it won't occur, so it would be a safeguard for that. We would definitely install a gate. It doesn't mean it's going to be used at all times, but we would have to look into security cameras if we do not utilize the gate. I did want to share that in partnership with the tribe, Jason, and the Natural Resources Department over there, Fisher said, the tribe did receive a $700,000 grant for Santuit Pond for internal loading that we will be working with the SNEP, or Southeast New England Program Network, with. Mashpee Veterans Banners to be unveiled Sunday. On Sunday, July 13, 38 banners will be unveiled at Mashpee Community Park to honor the memory of veterans with a connection to the town. The Veterans Banners Project is an undertaking of the Historical Commission, which created a subcommittee to oversee the efforts. This year marks the second year that the Historical Commission's subcommittee will hang the banners on the park's 19 lampposts. The unveiling ceremony will begin at 1 p.m. at the gazebo in Mashpee Community Park at 13 Great Neck Road North. Well, folks, I've reached the end of my time for today. This is Greg, your reader, saying thanks so much for listening. I hope you have a great week. Be safe out there, and bye for now.